Sonic 2, the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog, releasing on the... Wait a minute. Sonic CD, the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, so you may be wondering, why are there supposedly two Sonic the Hedgehog sequels? Well, it's simple. Sonic 2 released on November 21st, a full year before Sonic CD, and Sonic 2 is the one with the, 2 in the name, but Sonic CD happens next chronologically, making it the true sequel. Anyways, like Sonic 1, Sonic 2 released on the Sega Genesis, selling 6 million copies, which was not as good as Sonic 1, but it would prove to be much better than Sonic CD at least. The game usually receives higher praise than Sonic 1 and Sonic CD, with an 83% on Metacritic, which is only one higher than Sonic CD, and a 7.9 on IGN, which is lower than Sonic 1, which goes to show I probably should not be counting IGN's opinion. I mean, they think Sonic Colors is better than Sonic CD, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but at the very least, the fans say this game is incredibly good and one of the best Sonic games. And Sonic 2 got quite a lot of re-releases like Sonic 1. There is Sonic Compilation, Sonic Jam, Sega Smash Pack 2, Sonic Action 4-Pack, Sonic Mega Collection, Sonic Mega Collection Plus, Sega Genesis Collection, Sonic Mega Collection Plus, Sonic Gems Collection, Sega Mega Drive Collection, Volume 2, Super Sonic Gold, Sonic 2 on Mobile, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Dash, Sonic 2 Wii, Sonic 2 Xbox, Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, Sonic PC Collection, Sonic's Classic Collection, 3D Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sega Ages, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Sonic Origins. And that's not counting all the major releases, which totals to 21 ways to play Sonic 2, with more I don't have the lung capacity to read off. Once again, we follow Sonic the Hedgehog after his adventures on Little Planet. He goes to West Side Island to once again fight Dr. Robotnik and stop him from taking over the world. And this time we have one newcomer, that being Miles Prower, nicknamed Tails by Sonic. He is a fox and he is based on a kitsune, a fox that, as it grows, gains more tails. Popular kitsune are Ninetales from Pokemon, or the Nine-Tailed Fox from Naruto, and before meeting Sonic, Tails was bullied and shunned due to his two tails. But after meeting Sonic, Tails was inspired by him, and started to follow him, and eventually became his best friend and sidekick. And currently, Robotnik is once again after the Chaos Emeralds with a new 7th one, and he wishes to use it to power his ultimate weapon, the Death Egg. Once again, a simple story to start us off with. Once again, the gameplay is very similar to the last two, with almost the same moveset as Sonic CD, just missing the super peel out, but this time we have Tails following us around. He usually does not do much except collect rings for us occasionally, but through using his two tails, he can fly and carry Sonic to higher places. You can also play as Tails on his own if you wish to do that. He controls basically the same, but he can fly, and Tails can fly for quite a bit, but will eventually grow tired. And after collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds, as Sonic, you can turn into Super Sonic, with 50 rings making him faster, invincible, and letting him jump to higher places. And you are constantly losing rings while in his super form. Like last time, we are going over the zones and bosses at the same time, and going from worst to best, and this game changed the zone formula. Now there are only 2 acts, and the second one having a boss at the end of it. And once again, we are starting with this game's Labyrinth zone, and I'm going to first explain this new term I came up with. To be a Labyrinth zone, you have to A, be one of the worst stages in the game, B, be the course you utterly dread for when it pops up, and C, be generally unenjoyable. So, this game's Labyrinth zone is Metropolis zone. You know, many people say Sonic 2 has no bad zones, and I'm sure when they say that they forget about Metropolis zone, as I cannot find a single redeeming quality about this zone. There's lava, conveyor belts, crushers, and worst of all, the nuts. which you have to run on to make go up or down. And they usually overstay their welcome and usually have some of the very annoying badniks on them that'll knock you off, so you have to get back up either by flying up with tails or leaving them and coming back so the nut goes back to the bottom, because they do not go back down on their own. And speaking of the badniks, there's Asteron, a little star-looking guy that'll explode and shoot spikes in 5 directions. They love spamming this guy, especially on the nuts. And then there is Shellcracker, who shoots out his claw at you when you get near him, and even when he is not shooting at his claw, it is hard to hit him due to his claw having a much bigger hitbox than the rest of his body. And then there is Slicer, who shoots his little hands at you and they home in on you so well up to the point where they are hard to dodge. Also, this zone has 3 acts for some reason. Then there is the boss, the Egg Bouncer. You must hit Eggman while avoiding the balloons, or whatever they are circling around him. Hitting him will release one, and you have to destroy that. Once he is out of them, he will start firing lasers at you. This is my least favorite boss in the game. Next is Casino Night Zone, the obligatory pinball zone. And this is the most pinball-esque zone yet. And like I have said before, I am not a fan of these zones. The usual only gimmick are the pinball things. This is going in the second to last spot due to the fact I enjoy every future zone more than this. The badniks are just crawl. That's it. The boss is the Egg Claw. Eggman in a giant pinball machine either tries to pick you up with his claw or drop bombs on you. You can either use the pinball machine to try and hit him, or use Tails or Supersonic, or just run left to right and jump at Eggman very easily. Next stage is Sky Chase and Wing Fortress. I am counting them as the same stage. Sky Chase is just boring in my opinion. You ride Sonic's plane, the tornado, while Tails flies it, while you avoid badniks. It's just boring and slow. The badniks are Valkyrie, Nebula, and Turtloids, who are all very easy to deal with. Now, on to Wing Fortress, and this is just not memorable to me. The gimmicks are fine. The only badnik is Clucker, who was never a problem. And this is just a forgettable stage for me. And every other stage, I would say, is better than this one. The boss of Wing Fortress is Laser Prison. There's a laser cannon you have to hit. The room is slowly closing in. And normally, you are supposed to hop on the platforms to get up and hit the laser cannon. But you can just use Supersonic's higher jump height to just hit it. And I did not care for this boss. Next up, we have Mystic Cave Zone. And honestly, this may be the best looking zone in the game. The Crystal Cave just looks beautiful, even in 16-bit. But this is one of the slower zones in the game, with lots of pulleys and switches you have to pull. And there are moving barrels you have to get past, and the spikes just make it more annoying, but still very fun. The badniks are Kralton and Flasher. The boss is the Egg Digger. Eggman, with his digger, digs through the ceiling and drops debris on you. Then, he pops out, hit him while he is out, and you can make short work of him. He is very easy. Next is Aquatic Ruin Zone, the water stage of this game. And I enjoy it. Most of its spend is above the water, so maybe that's why. In fact, if you're good enough, you may just be able to avoid the water in general, making the water a sort of punishment for not being good enough, and the land is a reward for being good enough. The gimmicks are fine, the arrows and the little pillars you can destroy, that's really it. The badniks are Chop Chop, Grounder, and Wisp. The boss is the Egg Hammer. In an arena with Eggman, there are 2 pillars with arrow traps on them. Eggman goes back and forth between the 2, hitting them with his hammer to shoot arrows at you, jump on the arrows, and get up and hit Eggman. Or just fly up and hit him with Tails. Next is Oil Ocean. I find this stage fun. I like the gimmicks, and the oil slides are pretty fun. And they brought back the fans from Starlight Zone, but made them better. At the bottom of the zone there's a bunch of oil, hence the name. Should you fall into the oil, you will not sink as fast as you do in water, but it is very hard to jump out of. The badniks are Aquis and Octus. The boss is the Egg Marine. He sinks into the oil, and either Scorpion Tail will be fired in an arc on the platform Sonic is standing on, or a laser gun will shoot lasers at Sonic, but like most bosses, you can cheese it very easily, especially with Tails who could just fly over the lasers in Scorpion Tail. Next is Emerald Hill Zone, the first zone, and another zone that could be considered a Green Hill clone. And once again, I think this is better than Green Hill Zone. It's longer and you can feel an even greater sense of speed than even Sonic CD's Palm Tree Panic. And once again, due to being the first zone, there's not much to talk about. The bandits are Buzzer, Coconuts, and Masher. The boss is the Egg Drillster. Eggman drives a car with a drill at the front of it. He goes from left to right and occasionally shoots out his drill. Just hit Eggman and avoid the drill and it's a pretty easy fight. Next is Hilltop Zone. And fun fact, Sonic 2 was originally going to have the time travel mechanic as Sonic CD, and Hilltop Zone was going to be the past for Emerald Hill Zone. You can tell just by how similar they look. This is a very vertical stage with zip lines, seesaws from Starlight Zone or back, there's lava, and overall, I find it very enjoyable. The bandits are Gola, Rexon, and Spiker. The boss is the Egg Scorcher Mark II, the sequel to Marble Zone's boss. Eggman will try to scorch you with his flamethrower before submerging himself in lava to pop out on a different side. And this boss is once again incredibly easy to beat just by bouncing on top of him. And finally, we have my favorite zone in the game, that being Chemical Plant Zone. The second zone in the game, and like Green Hill Zone, this place is returned a lot. Not as much as Green Hill Zone, but still a lot, and I'm not going to list them all this time. This can also be considered a water level due to how much the chemicals are used and how the chemicals work just like water. And there are many moving platforms you gotta jump on, mostly to get out of the chemicals sometimes. And this is one of the few stages where you can go so fast the camera can't even keep up with you. The bandits are Grabber and Spiny. The boss is Egg Poison. He floats above a bunch of platforms that switch between being able to stand on and not. And he sucks up a bunch of chemicals to drop on you, and once again, this boss is incredibly easy. Overall, this game only has one zone I dislike, and only one I do not care about. The rest are great zones with a lot of fun to be had. Now, you may have been wondering, where is Death Egg Zone? Well, I did not forget it, and since this game is the first one to really have a true emphasis on the final boss, I decided to give it its own segment. Death Egg Zone is only a boss fight, nothing else. You fight Mecha Sonic first, and quickly you may notice you have 0 rings. That's fine as long as you know how to deal with Mecha Sonic. Only attack him when he is not curled up into a ball, as when he is curled up into a ball, he can hit you. And he goes left to right, either in a ball, or just launching himself at you. You can usually get 2 hits on him when he's standing still, or when he's launching to the side outside of a ball form. And you just gotta hit him about 8 times. Then after that, you have to fight the Death Egg Robot. Still with no rings, and if you die, you have to fight Mecha Sonic again. So, he starts out just walking towards you. You hit him once both his arms are behind his stomach, and he has stopped moving. Then after that, he will fly up and try to crush you. Get to the farthest end of the room, wait until he starts falling onto you. You can get to the opposite side of the room, and then he will try to shoot you with his arms. But if you are far enough away, they can't reach you. Then, he will fly up again and try to crush you again. Dodge that, and he'll start walking towards you again. Wait till he stops, rinse, repeat. If you do not know the patterns, they are very difficult bosses, but once you learn them, they become very easy. Now, finally, on to the special stages. And these you get to through having 50 rings and crossing a checkpoint, and then you jump into the star ring that appears above the checkpoint. The easiest of all the special stages to get to, in my opinion. And fun fact, there are enough checkpoints in Emerald Hill to get all the Chaos Emeralds in the first zone. And these special stages are the most overused in my opinion. The half pipe. Sonic and Tails run down a half-pipe and are tasked with getting a set number of rings to either get approval or disapproval from Mario. You have to do this 3 times and then you get the Chaos Emerald. The only obstacle is bombs, which usually are very easy to dodge, but when playing as Sonic and Tails, Tails can pick up rings himself, and he has his own count, and Tails jumps slightly after Sonic, making it so Tails, often lagging behind, will get hit by many bombs and lose a lot of the rings he picked up. So overall, I like them more than Sonic 1's, but I prefer Sonic CD's special stages. Okay, now it's time to rank Sonic 2. Now, this game has a really great level design, with only one level that is actively hated by many. Tails is a staple of the series and was a great addition as Sonic's sidekick and proves to be quite useful. Super Sonic was also a fun addition and actually gave a reason to want to get all the Chaos Emeralds. The special stages are fine, and the bosses are fun, yet very easy most of the time. So, after all that, I give it an S tier.
You know, what can I say?
The perfect evolution of the series after Sonic 1 and rightfully one of the fan favorite Sonic games.